हेलो अंकुर। हैव यू स्टार्टेड और
सर हाँ जी, 30 सेकंड में सर स्टार्ट करते हैं। मैडम यशस्वी ठाकुर, आप मुझे सुन पा रहे हैं?
Yes, sir.
हाँ, आप काइंडली इंट्रोडक्टरी रिमार्क प्रोसीड करिए।
Okay, sir. Namaskar and a very warm good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Yashasvi Thakur, Assistant Professor Environment Science, Dr. Y.S. Parmar University of Horticulture and Forestry, Nauni, Himachal Pradesh, welcoming you all on the 13th day of this 30 Days of International Winter School, Navigating Agricultural Transformations for Upliftment of Rural Excellence, Nature 2024, organized by the AgriMeet Foundation Bharat in collaboration with CIMMYT Mexico, Southern Federal University Russia, ICARDA Lebanon, World Agroforestry Center for International Forest Research Kenya, ICRISAT Hyderabad, Manage Hyderabad, SKL Telangana State Horticulture University, MGU VV Durg, CCS HU Hisar, IGKV Raipur, ICR IRI New Delhi, MHU Karnal, NDRI Karnal, ICR DCR Puttur Karnataka, Stanford University, and University of California, etc. Today, we are honored to have with us Dr. Shiv Kumar Agrawal, Regional Coordinator for South Asia and China, International Center for Agricultural Research in Dry Areas, as our speaker. Dr. S.K. Agarwal is a renowned plant breeder with expertise in resistance breeding, pre-breeding, and development of genetic and genomic resources of legume crops. His contribution in developing short duration photoperiod in sensitive biofortified varieties of legumes is well recognized. During 35 years of Sir's professional career, he, in collaboration with national partners, contributed to the development of 51 lentil, 5 mung bean, 2 urad bean, 1 rice, and 3 grass pea varieties, and published 310 research articles, 97 book chapters, 12 books, 7 technical bulletins, etc. He is a fellow of Crop Science Society of America, International Legume Society, and Indian Society of Genetics and Plant Breeding, to name a few. He has received many academic distinctions and fellowships, including the prestigious Rockefeller, and many accolades and awards from many national and international organizations and societies. Presently, he is leading ICARDA's South Asia and regional China regional program, which aims to deliver climate smart germplasm of legumes and cereals for sustainable intensification of cereal based cropping systems. It is such a privilege to have you here with us today, sir, to enlighten us all with your talk on the title Pulses for Sustainable Food Future Under Climate Change. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
हेलो हेलो कैन यू
जी
हियर
सर,
मी?
स्क्रीन जी
Yes,
सर, स्क्रीन
yes,
दिख
sir.
रही है सर, पीपीटी मोड पे बढ़िया से।
ओके।
जी।
कैन यू सी माय स्क्रीन नाउ?
यस सर,
Yes,
यस
sir.
सर।
Okay, so thank you SSV for
प्रेजेंटेशन
a
आउट
very
है।
elaborate introduction. And of course, 1 minute, let me. So anyway, today I'm going to make a presentation on pulses for sustainable food future in the under climate change. And as you know that pulses are the crop not only for the people but also for the planet, because these are the crop which has numerous ecosystem services. So today presentation I have been given 1 hours. So I will be talking about ICARDA, present status of pulses globally as well as at national level, Then I will be presenting on current challenges which are our crop facing. Besides, of course, strategy for increasing the pulse production to meet the demand supply gap. And then genetic innovations which we have made in recent years, followed by production technology and the prospect. So this part is going to be about 1 hour presentation. Somehow this is not moving.
हाँ, मूव पहले सर मूव किया था स्टार्टिंग में आपका पहला
That's
वाला
right.
आया था, ये दूसरा। हाँ,
Let me go back again. Okay. Shall I go, leave and again join? Maybe that.
हाँ, हाँ,
that
ये सर ठीक तरीका है। हाँ, आप कर सकते हैं सर ऐसा।
Oh, no.
जी।
Let me.
रोहित जी देखिएगा सर, जैसे ही ज्वाइन करें तुरंत को होस्ट बना के पैनलिस्ट में ज्वाइन कराइए। नहीं सर, तो है मीटिंग में है सर।
रिज्वाइन कर लिया सर ने।
जी जी जी। यदि इस बार भी कोई इशू आता है तो मैं सर से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि वो पीपीटी मुझे भेज दें, आप उसको अपनी तरफ से प्रेजेंट कर देना, ठीक है? वैसे
Yes,
आना
sir.
नहीं चाहिए इशू।
It's moving, sir. It's moving.
यस सर, मूविंग सर, मूविंग।
Now, again, when I'm making my voice other things, then it stop, moving.
सर आप काइंडली ये पीपीटी मुझे शेयर कर सकते हैं मेल या व्हाट्सएप पे?
Yes, yes, I can do that.
मैं अपने एडमिन से इसको शेयर करा दूंगा।
Why it is happening like this? Because I made many presentation, but it never happens like this. Let me see. Okay. Now it is moving?
हाँ यस सर, इट इज
Yes,
मूविंग
sir.
सर।
Yes, sir.
Okay, now. So it means we have this, technical, So anyway, so as I said that today I am going to make a presentation on pulses for sustainable food future under changing climate. As you know that pulses are the crop for not only the people but also for the planet because of its ecosystem services. So today presentation will be about 1 hour where I will be talking about ICARDA, then present status of pulses globally as well at national level, then the current challenges which the pulse crops are facing, followed by this strategy to increase that pulse production, then followed by some of the genetic innovations which we have made in recent years, then production technology, and then prospect. So this is what is going to be my presentation. As you know that ICARDA is one of the 15 CG centers spread across the globe. As far as ICARDA is concerned, it is working for dry areas, and where we provide innovative, climate smart and science-based solutions so that it can improve the rural livelihood in dry region across Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. when we have this kind of technology, this helps not only to improve the crop productivity, but also the land productivity as well as the water productivity with this kind of solutions. At present, ICARA is operating from 15 different countries. We have these places where we have our offices plus our platform. As far as major operation is concerned, then it is Morocco. We have at present, today I'm here, and then other one is Egypt and India. These are the three places from where we operate with our field-based research. As you know, in India, we are having our platform near Bhopal. It is around 70 hectare research station where we have a genomics lab, we have a tissue culture lab, we have plant production lab. So it's a very elaborate, infrastructure we have created. And so that people can really, collaborate with us to work on pulses, not only on pulses, but also on cereals like barley and wheat. If you see the crop, which are much more adapted to dry areas, and if you see the dry area, it accounts for almost 35% of the world agriculture land, on which depends the livelihood of 2 billion people. And the crop which get adapted in these area are mostly legumes. If you see that, if you see this, graph where rainfall pattern is given, if you have more than 500 millimeter rainfall, the crop which can get adapted is fava bean. And if it is between 450 to 250, then chickpea becomes very, very, adapted to that kind of environments. And then if we have still less rainfall, like 250 and less, then lentil can be grown successfully. And of course, if it is still less than 100 millimeter rainfall, then the grass pea is one crop, which is very climate smart. It can be grown even under those conditions. Then the question comes, how we can feed the growing population? As you know that by 2050, the world population is going to be around 9.2 billion, almost 37% more mouth than what we have today. So if we have to feed this 37 more mouths, then it means we must increase our food production by more than 60%. But that also depends on the crop. If you see in this graph, the cereals, it can be only 40% what is required in the next, 25 years. But when it comes to pulses, it is almost 80% more than what we are harvesting today. And that too under the climate change. If I take into account the extreme weather and the overall vulnerability of the agriculture production, then you will see that the countries or the region which are most affected is our South Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. And so India is one which is going to be affected. And one estimate says, FAO estimates, that by 2050, the crop yield will decrease by 25% if we do not address the climate change scenario now. It means we have only one way to go. That is, we have to produce more nutritious food from less land, from less water, from less, causing or taking less natural resources. Then question comes, why we need pulses for sustainable food future? As you know that the crop like pulses are the natural, they can fix atmospheric nitrogen. They can fix up to 210 kg per hectare nitrogen. At the same time, if you see the residue of the legumes, it has a lower CN ratio as compared to what we have with oil seeds and the wheat. And another things, if you see another graph where this, the lower water use means it has low water footprint. If we have 1 kg of dal, it requires, if we produce 1 kg of pulses, it requires 1,250 liters. And if we have to have the equivalent 1 kg of beef, then we have to have 13,000 liter water. It means almost 10 times more water is required if we are going for animal protein as compared to what we get almost, 10 times less water in pulses. Another thing is about the carbon footprint. If you see this graph, it has a negative carbon footprint. It means if we are including pulses into our cereal-based cropping systems, the carbon footprint in the form of the the kind of fertilizer we use, the kind of irrigation we have required, it all adds means there will be a less carbon impact. It means it will be better for our environment. We have a wide spectrum of pulses. If you see, if you see that, globally, in 60s, we used to produce only 44 million ton of pulses, and today it is almost 96 million tons. It means we have made very good progress, almost doubling the pulse production. But then it has come by increasing the area. If you see, in 62, it was only 66 or 67 million hectare land, and today we are growing pulses globally in 96 million hectare. But under certain crop, if you see some crops like field pea, fava bean, and grass pea, the area has gone down, while for the remaining pulse crops, the area has increased. The good part is that even after area has increased under these three crops, the production of all pulse crop has increased. Productivity, it is mainly because of we have made very good impact as far as productivity is concerned. If you see at our country level, I think we are the largest producer consumer of the pulses. At present, we are producing around 25 million tons of pulses. The major states are, of course, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Uttar Pradesh. And if you see the pulses, share in total pulse production, I think chickpea is the major one, followed by pigeon pea, mung bean, urd bean, and lentil. If you see the area, 77% of the pulse in India are being grown under rain-fed conditions, and they are mainly grown under marginal lands. As a result, the average pulse productivity in India is 26% less than what we harvest globally. As a result, there's a demand-supply gap. If you see the last year, we had produced 27 million ton of pulses. This year, the area has gone down, even the production has gone down. As a result, what happens that again there is a demand-supply gap. And this gap is going to be continue even in the next 5 or 10 years. As far as government is concerned, government want to make ensure that we are self-sufficient in pulse production. If you see in 2024, India imported 4.7 billion ton of pulses, mainly lentil, pigeon pea, and black gram. Therefore, if we have to be self-sufficient, it means we have to increase the production of lentil, pigeon pea, and black gram to meet our local demand. If you see globally, I think there are two regions, South Asia and Middle East and North Africa. These are the two regions where they are deficit in pulse production. Almost, if you see the global pulse trade at present, it is almost 20 million tons. It means the pulse produced somewhere is being sent to other countries. Southeast is the largest importer of pulses, mainly India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and of course, other like Sri Lanka. Then the question comes, what are the current challenges in pulse production? Of course, these are the common one, like climate change. So it is not only the pulses, but also all other crops are being impacted by that. Of course, in the case of pulses, because they are grown under the marginal lands with limited, input, they are getting more impact in productivity and this. As far as soil degradation is concerned, if you see that almost 33% of the global soil is degraded, it means it is impacting not only the land productivity, but also the total factor productivity. As even in pulses, we still have a lot of technological gap. As a result, what is happening that we are not able to exploit its potential. There are wild yield gaps, almost 30 to 35% more, yield gaps in pulses. If I take into account or compare cereal with legumes, then you say that generally there is a perception of a risky proposition if farmers are growing pulses because of the low profitability. As a result, the farm itself make the low investment at farm level. There are frequent drought and waterlogging. As a result, you will find in legume crops very poor plant population. Diseases are very rampant, like Fusion Build, Ascochyta blight, and rust. As you know that pulses are more affected by the root diseases. So it means if root is gone, that the whole plant is gone. In the case of other crops, where mainly these are the foliar diseases. Foliar disease can be compared, some losses, and they can be compared. But in the case of legumes, it is a really very serious challenge. Poor crop management, weeds are very rampant. If you go to any farmer's field, of pulses, you will find that more beats are there. Poorly adapted varieties, some of the times we are coming out with varieties which are not taking into account the local challenges, which are very, very important when we are developing varieties. As a result, what happens? There is a poor variety replacement and seed replacement. One can see in this graph, there is a lot of yield gaps, almost, as I mentioned, 30 to 35%. If, based on this, farmer yield and the improved yield, you can see across the crop, there is a big yield gap. In the case of chickpea, it is 5, quintal per hectare yield gap. In the case of lentil, it's 4 quintal per hectare. So if we are able to fill this gap by having better varieties and management practices, I think we will be able to meet our demand, or we can be able to close the demand supply gap. At the same time, there are yield gap in chickpea and pigeon pea in Indian states. In some states, if you see that here, Maharashtra, I have taken three states: Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh. One can see that frontline demonstration yield, state average yield, and the yield gap. One can see in Maharashtra there is a yield gap of 735 kg per hectare in pigeon pea. Similarly, in Madhya Pradesh also there is a gap. Chhattisgarh, it goes to 800 kg per hectare. So this kind of yield gaps. So we have to ensure that how we can close these yield gaps through our better technologies as well as better farm practices. Again, here I have demonstrated how there are yield gaps between high yielding state and low yielding states, and there are gaps. I will not take much time on that, but this is very, very important, how we can make this yield gap closed. So now the question comes, how we can enhance the pulse production. I think for that we have to make the new genetic gains. We have to close the yield gaps, which I just demonstrated through crop management. We can also explore the possibility of horizontal expansion, because there are a number of chances like rice fallow where we can think of expanding pulses. There is a scope for sustainable intensification like rice wheat system. We can think of going for mung bean as a third crop. We can also think in terms of reducing post-harvest losses, which in case of country it goes from 16 to 20%. And of course, there is a value addition. So I will have three options, that is genetic options, management options, and policy options. So today we will talk about only two, genetic options and the management options. As you see that in the Carda, we have been developing variety for more than 52 countries. If you see our varietal portfolio, we have released around 186 varieties of chickpea in more than 50 countries. In the case of lentil, 164 varieties of lentil, and again around 45 countries. Similarly, like fava bean, peas, and grass pea, we have been releasing variety. And these varieties are not only climate smart, they are also very early maturing. They have a better nutrition, like better protein as well as iron and zinc, and then also able to tolerate some of the stresses which are very common, or key stresses which are common in those countries. So if you see the historical genetic gain which we have made in pulse crops, I think globally we have reached more than 4,000 varieties of major pulse crops globally. In India alone, there are around 1,100 varieties released by the Indian ICR and its universities. These varieties are short duration, they are resistant, at the same time they are able to tolerate drought and heat. But if I take into account the genetic gain which we have made every year, it is less than 0.6 to 0.8%. But our estimate says that if we have to meet the future demand, we must increase, or we must accelerate the genetic gain at the rate of 1.5% annually. It means we have to come out varieties very precisely, very efficiently, and very economically, so that they are available to the farmers to diversify their field as well as the country, where they can have more options to to select. Therefore, if we have to accelerate the genetic gain, I think we have to make some kind of paradigm shift in our our programs, and that is what we have done. These four paradigm shift. One is that market-oriented breeding product profile for well-defined target population movements. This is the first thing we have done. Second things we have done is this compartmentalization of the breeding activities. Earlier, we used to do everything, at one place. We have done, okay, pre-breeding has to be done by someone, the main breeding program has to be done by the main breeders. That way, it has been more efficient to accelerate the genetic gain. Earlier, we used to have subtle breeding, taking two locations to have 2 generations per year. Now we have gone to speed breeding so that we can take 4 to 5 generations per year. Then we have gone for now with the availability of genome sequence as well as, so that we have gone for genomic selection to increase the breeding efficiency. I give you one example of how we have gone for this market-oriented breeding product profiles. Globally, we have come out different kind of target product profiles. One can see that for chickpea, we have 6, fawing, we have 5, lentil 4, and grass seed 2. And that is based on the requirement of our partners. Different stakeholders have been involved when we have defined these breeding profiles. So I can give you an example. For example, for India, we are targeting small red lentil. It must be early. It must have resistant to wilt, rust, and stem film blight. At the same time, it must tolerate drought and heat and biofortified with iron zinc. So this is our major focus, and we are allocating around 40% of our efforts towards that. Similarly, for North Africa, where I am at present, so we are targeting large yellow lentils, and the variety must be resistant to rust, ascochyta blight, and orobanki. Then it must be tolerant to drought, machine harvestability, and herbicide tolerance. So this is the way to go for having the targeted varieties. And then once you have this kind of variety, we call it replacement strategy. So we are going to replace the variety which is mainly grown by the farmers with better traits, and that is what they require when you talk to them. And that is possible that because we have the global germplasm in ICARDA gene bank. One can see in lentil we are holding around 14,000 plus accessions, chickpea 15,000 plus. So that way. So if I take into total, we have around 156,000 accessions, collected from center of origin and primary. ICARDA is situated in the fertile crescent. And that's why we are very much lucky to have all those parents which have been originally involved in evolving the crops. Therefore, we go for collection and conservation. We have go for precision phenotyping because having large collection and not knowing about them is of no use. So we go for precision phenotyping. Then now with the availability of genotyping facilities, we also go for genotyping to see what kind of genetic allelic variation is available in that. Then we go for pre-breeding using biorelatives because biorelatives are the one which can give you a lot of traits of our interest. Then of course that's how we are able to drive the lines and then we see their performance. So when you say that what germplasm as a user, if you are interested to have germplasm, you make a request. We don't provide you the full set of germplasm. We provide you the fixed set. When you say that I'm interested in having the drought tolerant germplasm, then we develop a kind of set. We call it focused identification of germplasm strategy. So we just say that germplasm collected from those areas where the drought is very commonly occurring. It means the germplasm collected from those regions must be having that drought tolerance. So that is the set we are able to provide. And of course, we also provide genetic diversity panels. We have the magic population of these lines that is also available for the partners. Wild relatives and integration lines also be provided. And then it comes to the international nursery. Every year you can go to our website and you can also request the germplasm, and we provide these kind of international nurseries. For example, this year we have provided 52 sets to chickpea breeders, 55 to lentil breeders, and 31 to fawin and 24 to grass seed. Then some of the progress which we have made, or I can say genetic innovations. One is that the machine harvested pulses, and that has happened in chickpea, and that has happened in mung bean. And you can see some of the variety which have been released are being grown, by farmers in India. Now the question comes in the case of lentil, which is very, if you see the plant, it is very small and, not machine harvestable if you see the current varieties. Now we have developed varieties which are also machine harvestable, that one can see that in our field, how we are harvesting using the machine. And these lines are having good standing ability. They have erect, tall plant type. At the same time, they have more height of the first pot. That is very, very important when we are going for machine harvestable lentil. Then when we go for harvesting, there should not be a pot drop and there should not be seed scattering. At the same time, it must have the prominent trendrils. And all these traits, when you combine together, then you come out with a variety. And recently, or this year, we have released one variety in Morocco that is giving around 2 tons per hectare. Plus, it flowers within 80 days. At the same time, it is having very growth habit and negligible yield losses. And 2 more varieties are in pipeline. In India also now this year, some of the lines are under testing, and I'm sure that they will be made available to our national partners so that they can be released in India. As you know that in the case of pulses, beets are the major yield constraint. Because as such, pulses are very poor competitor with beets, and it can cause up to 30% yield losses in different pulse crops. No pulse specific post-emergence herbicide are available, but then what we have done, we have screened our germplasm. Now we have this, of course, when we say screen germplasm, we have screened lentil, chickpea, and fava bean germplasm against 2 herbicides, metribuzin and imidazolpine. And we have found natural variation in these germplasm. And at the same time, we have also created the variation through mutation. Now this herbicide tolerant varieties are also in pipeline. And you know that one of the success story in Canada is our Clearfield lentils. These lentils are, one can apply this post-emergent herbicide to control the weeds. So that the same thing are now going to be made available to our national partners in India as well as in other countries. But then if you see the West Asia and North Africa, I think this region, this, parasitic weed, we call it Oravanki, it's rampant. No legume crop can be grown there if it is not having some kind of tolerance to Oravanki or some kind of integrated management for this parasitic weeds. We have screened our germplasm. Now there's a natural variation, and now these crops, we are able to release some of the varieties of fava bean, Giza 843, Miss 3 in Egypt. And in lentil also, we are going to release soon for North Africa. Then comes the question of climate smart pulses. Generally, our approach has been that under those conditions where there is a terminal drought and heat, we go for earliness. Earliness is the key for the success of pulses under climate change. And then we also find that crop biorelatives, they are a great source for tolerance to drought and heat. One can see in this photo how early one line is as compared to the normal variety which are grown. And there's no yield penalty when we are going for earliness. And that is where we feel that these varieties are having a scope not only under the drought and heat conditions, but also under those where we want to take a variety after, let us say between 2 rice crops, where we have a very short window, like of 100 days, where this kind of varieties can be fitted into the cropping system. One example of, which I have taken, from ICCISAT, how successful it has been just because they have come out with early, varieties of chickpea. The area of chickpea has shifted to central South India, mainly because these varieties fit very well in that. At the same time, the area under those long duration varieties, which are mainly grown in northern and northeast, that has gone down. So that shows that how one can have the right kind of variety. They are not only having more yield, but also having better tolerance to heat, drought, as well as other diseases. In the case of lentil also, we have variety like Bari Masoor 9 and many which can mature in 90 days. As a result, these variety can fit between 2 rice crops. If you go to Eastern India, particularly Assam and that's West Bengal and Tripura, you will find that there are Boro rice, they also grow Boro rice and the Kharif rice. And between that, there is around 100 days available. And that's kind of variety which can mature 90 days. They can fit very well into that. As I said, that crop relatives are a very good source, and we have been using them into our breeding programs. And one can see that by using them, we have not only increased the yield, but also increased the iron and zinc in those varieties. And now these varieties are also being, released in different countries and being, very well adapted to some of the countries. Some of the example I give by using this, crop relatives, how we have been able successfully to fortify our lentil. And these varieties can mature in 90 to 100 days. At the same time, they are having iron and zinc. Iron around 80 plus and zinc more than 50 plus ppm. And they can fit very well in rice and maize-based system. And at the same time, they also give around 1.5 to 2 tons per hectare yield. And one can see some of the varieties which our Indian partner has released using our germplasm, how the seed demand, seed demand has gone up of those varieties. Similarly, some of the flowering variety which we have released in Sudan. Sudan is a country where you hardly have 100 to 110 days for a crop to grow. Suddenly, the temperature goes more than 35 degrees centigrades. And then we were able to have, release our heat-tolerant flowering varieties. And one can see how the production and productivity has gone up, in that country just because we have the right, climate smart varieties. Now the production has gone from 40,000 to 150,000 ton at present. Area has increased, productivity has increased. Similarly, ascocarbohydrate resistant in chickpea, we have a skin, and we have some of the lines which are having resistance not only to a particular pathotype, but also all the pathotypes which are existing globally. As a result, we find some of the QTLs, and these QTLs has been incorporated into our varieties, and now these varieties are being grown under the winter cultivation. Why winter? When I say winter, because if you go to Central Asia and West Asia, farmers are growing chickpea as a spring crop. But then once it has the ascocarbohydrate resistance, then they can be grown in winter season, and then the productivity goes to almost double. So that is why we wanted to have a much emphasis on having ascocarbohydrate resistant varieties of chickpea. Of course, this is our Indian partners who has done in pigeon pea hybrids. No, you know that I think it is only pigeon pea where you have the hybrids among the pulses. Some of the hybrids have been released, and some of them are very good, but then still area under hybrids is very, very less. Almost 3,000 hectares in confined to two states, Telangana and Maharashtra. There is a need for public-private partners. We have to promote the hybrids. Of course, there is a heterotic pools, and more efforts are required to have the right kind of hybrids for different regions and agroecology. As I was saying that what we did, we have changed, while developing variety, we have changed our strategy from subtle breeding to speed breeding. Earlier, we used to have two generation per year, main season and off season. But now with this protocol for speed breeding, which we have standardized, we can complete the life cycle in 60 days. It means we can take up to 4 to 5 generation per year, but of course it becomes too short, and then we are taking at present 4 generation per year. As a result, we are able to come out with variety much faster than what we used to do, let us say 5 years before. At the same time, as I say, the germplasm has to have the high throughput phenotyping for breeding accuracy. Now we have this fully automated control, phenotyping facilities in Morocco, and then this really help us to have the underground and above ground phenotyping of the plants. As a result, we find which are the lines having tolerance to drought and which are having tolerance to heat. So this is very, very, I think IRI also is having very good, high throughput phenotyping facility. And that is very, very important for bidding accuracy. And other things which we have now is PhenoMobile system. And this PhenoBuggy, when we are having, it can record around 100 traits, total biomass, early vigor, and that seed color, the plant color, leaf color, and every traits which are possible, we are able to, by having this machine, we are able to use for phenotyping. Of course, nowadays genome editing is becoming very, very important, and I believe that this is going to be the future of kind of for developing varieties. In the case of grass pea, as you know, that this crop is having a kind of plant toxin called ODEP, and because of if we take grass pea in a large quantity, there can be some kind of problem. Keeping that in mind, what we have done, we have gone for genome editing to make our grass pea ODEP free. And then we have targeted the traits like beta ODEP biosynthesis. We have target genes, we have taken 3, ODEP synthase and these 2 more genes. And now we have the transformer system, and we have got this very good efficiency, almost 3.5%. And now we have some of the products which are free from that, and this is under testing. Of course, this work has been done under this collaboration with the Queensland University of Technology in Australia and John Innes Centre in UK. In addition to genetic innovations, what is more important for legumes is how to have the sustainable production. And it means we must have a kind of intervention from demand to delivery. For example, through using nowadays, all, information, we can go for what crop is required in which area. Once we decide the crop, suitable crop, then we have to think in terms of what are the variety which is suitable. And that is possible by having this real time, this, system. And we are able to suggest to the farmers, you should go for this crop, and within that crop, which variety you should go for that. Once it is done, then we also, through this geo-precision agriculture, we also help them to, optimize their use of inputs, and so that they are able to harvest, better productivity. Then, of course, after that, we also provide them market linkage and post-harvesting, because many times in the case of pulses, the problem comes that the farmers are not able to sell their products in time. So now we are having some of the project in Odisha and Madhya Pradesh, where we have this all the 3 components together. Once you have all these 3 components, that crop selection, farming practice, post harvest, that can help to have a economically viable proposition for farmers and ecologically sustainable proposition for farmers. Now we have this, tools like precision farming, where we are able to optimize the input and enhancing the incomes, where we go for this advisory kind of things. We provide them what should be the smart irrigation, how much fertilizer should be given. And this also help us to direct the different kind of, insect pest, and accordingly we are able to manage them. So at the same time, we also give them a kind of forecasting about the weather patterns. And of course, that's how we are able to, and this is being deployed in Madhya Pradesh, and now we are going to scale up in other states. As I tell you that rice fallow in South Asia and particularly in India is very, very, promising area where pulses and oilseeds can really, do wonders. As you know that in India alone, I think 11.65 million hectare area is there. And these are the different regions like eastern region, like eastern UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, and West Bengal. You have around 4.27 million hectare area. Northeast Hill region, 0.54. Central region, where Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Maharashtra comes, it is around 5 million hectare. And so I think that is where we can deploy our pulses, particularly after the harvest of rice. And for that, we have to have this real time mapping and monitoring of system, and that is what we have done for West Bengal. So the farmers, based on not only the rice area, but also based on the soil moisture. We are able to tell them where you should go for which variety you should deploy into that. That depends on whether it is, rice varieties, short duration variety, mid duration variety, long duration variety. Based on that, we also give them which variety should go for of lentil or grass we should go. Based on that, we have two systems, lentil and rice-based cropping system. One is irrigated and rain-fed. In the case of irrigated, we suggest them to go for rice and extra early lines, followed by borrow rice, rice and relay, early lentil and borrow rice. In the case of rain-fed, we go for rice, followed by lentil. And this is the way we do that. As I was telling you that in West Asia and Central Asia, farmers are growing chickpea as a spring crop. Not only chickpea, but also lentil. Now, if we just have varieties which has a quite a light resistance, it has a tolerance to cold stress and weed, weed manage, we are able to have the herbicide tolerance. Then if we combine these three traits, then the area under that can be increased because there is a yield advantage of almost 100%, means you can double the yield. Now that is what we are promoting in Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, as well as Turkey. We have made a good success in those countries now by growing this winter planted chickpea and lentil. Pulses as intercrop with cereals is a very good proposition. You know that many of the pulses are in the past also. This was a traditional way of growing pulses. So we have seen that pulses, if they are taken as intercrop with cereals, I think there is a 38% more yield, 33% more income while using 23% less land. And that is based on the experiment carried out in different countries. So it is a kind of meta analysis. And on that basis, we are saying, in addition, pulses also provides nutritious feed and forage for the livestock. As I was saying that we have to now diversify rice system, and for that, after this Aman rice, which is generally planted July and harvested sometimes in the November first week and October last week, and then of course Boru rice again it is planted in February. I think this is there we have around 90 days or 100 days planting window, and that is where we can take up this vegetable pea. We can think of having grass pea, and we can think of having our lentil, which can mature in that. And of course, mung bean in rice wheat system is the very good, and we must promote that one. Of course, this grass pea is one crop which is very climate resilient. It can be grown not only in the drought, but also if there is a waterlogging, then also it can survive. It can survive even heat tolerance. It can survive even salinity tolerance. Salinity. So all these traits are there. I think this is one crop which has been condemned because of this, plant toxin. But now we have the varieties which are very low in ODIP, and then we need to promote. As a result, now this crop has been included in many of these European and USA programs where they call it BECS. This crop has been included. This crop can 13 to 15 tons of green fodder. It can give 5 to 8 tons of biological yield, and it can also give 1 to 3 tons of low ODIP grain yields. If we include pulses in cropping system, then one can see that how almost 20% yield increase in wheat in the following wheat crop is there, and that is based on the number of crops and number of experiments which have been conducted across the globe. So it means we must include pulses if we really need to take this rotational benefit in cropping system. If we go for cereal into cereal, rice, wheat, I think this is affecting not only the productivity, but also it affecting the soil and our different, ecological, parameters. There are a number of, climate resilient agrotechnology, particularly conservation and zero tillage. One can see that when we have taken this, lentil under zero tillage after soybean, we found that some of the varieties which are doing very well. As a result, soybean intercrop with cotton and pigeon pea, it is also found superior to the sole crop, leading to maximum return and minimizing the risk of crop failure. So that is where we have to think in the case of conservation agriculture. We have to have for minimum tillage. We have to go for more diversification, and then we have to know how to manage our straw. Enhancing the profitability of pulse crop, it is many times pulses market price very less as compared to what they get from other crops. As a result, we have to reduce the cost of cultivation, and for that we have to think in terms of mechanization. This is one thing which can really help. Second thing is we have to think in terms of value addition, which means we have to come out with the products. And for that, we have established the food technology lab where we are working on different kind of product so that the farmers can really, we can add value to the harvest. Of course, we have to think in terms of seed. As you know that in the case of pulses, the major issue is the non-availability of quality seeds. So for that also we are having a number of projects where we have created a number of farmers producer organizations. They are involved in seed production, as well as we have also included them into the market linkage. For example, in Odisha, we have now whatever seed they are producing, it is linked with the Odisha State Seed Corporation. So they uplift the whole seed, and that is how we are able to increase not only the seed but also variety replacement. In all those things, as a CARDA, we also emphasize on capacity building and partnership. We every year we organize short-term trainings, long-term trainings, and that is where our partners comes and we provide them this capacity building or training, not only in how to grow a successful crop but also how to develop the best variety, how to develop the different type of technology. Every year our Indian partner goes there in different countries and they are trained, and this opportunity is also available to the partners. So in general, I can say that if I summarize, we have to think of the product and technology for scaling up. So I think we have now sold recent disease-resistant varieties of chickpea, lentil, and mung bean. We have hybrid and extra early pigeon pea. This has to be scaled up. Climate smart varieties of chickpea and biofortified varieties of lentil. These are the few things which we have to think in terms of scaling up. And of course, there are technology like genome assisted breeding, high throughput phenotyping, breeding platform, and market leading innovative seed system. These are the process which has to be scaled up in every national programs if we have to fill the demand supply gap of pulses. If I say that how the impact of innovations on production has happened across the crop, it is not about lentil or it is not about chickpea. It is about the cereal, all the crops. If I take into account, if you see that if I take 1960 as a base year, then the land use has just increased by 10%. Food production has gone up by almost what I should say 3.9. That shows that 390%. It means that shows that we have been able to make a very good impact because of the genetic innovations as well as our management practice innovations. So if I see the prospect of our pulses, I think there's a need for increased technological integration. Many times, we are not able, there are technologies, but we are not able to bring them as a kind of, package. So I always believe this is the key to adaptation of advanced technology in pulse cultivation, which can improve efficiency as well as productivity. There's a need for greater global collaborations so that global partnership, it really enhance knowledge and exchange as well as resource sharing. Now, private sector has to be involved in this, collaboration. Enhance sustainability. With a focus on sustainable practices, we need to drive initiatives that promote environmental stewardship in farming. Like now, organic farming is becoming a very important, not particularly for pulses. I think it can be one of the options. So with this, I come to my completion of my presentations. So thank you very much for your patience. Thank you very much.
चैट बॉक्स ऑन करिए रोहित जी.
Okay, sir.
बहुत बेहतरीन प्रेजेंटेशन सर का रहा. एक एक एस्पेक्ट पे बहुत डीपली उन्होंने टच किया चीजों को. यदि किसी पार्टिसिपेंट्स की कोई क्वेरी है इस पर्टिकुलर पीपीटी, उस पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक को लेके, तो वो चैट बॉक्स में अपने क्वेश्चन को टाइप करेगा. हमारे एडमिन महोदय उसको पढ़ के सर तक पहुंचाएंगे और सर उसका आंसर करेंगे.
If somebody can write in the chat box also, if some questions are there.
We have first question, sir. First, greeting. Thank you for insightful PPT, sir. If India is having all the technologies in the field of genetics and breeding, and we have all the varieties of against every constraint, then why some of the pulses are still being imported from countries like Canada and US?
Yes, very good questions that why we are still importing. See, now when you take into account that the area which we are deploying, so now for example, last year we have 27 million tons of pulses. We were almost about to close the demand supply gap. But this year the area the government has started giving emphasis on oil seeds. So area has almost 3 million hectare area has gone to oil seeds and other pulses. So many times, as I say, the perception of the farmers also, even if there's a variety, but then farmers are not able to get the seed in time. Many times, so there are issues, particularly, seed availability, quality seed availability. Many times you will find that the farmers are getting seeds from some private companies which are fly by night company. They come out with the seed, but they are not the seed. They are coming from the some market, So there are some issues, but our technology has the potential to close the gap between demand and supply. In fact, we can also become exporter. In fact, we are also exporting, by the way, some of the pulses. So it is not only that we are importing, we are also exporting some of the pulses like Kauli chickpea we are exporting, and then sometimes mung bean is also exported. So but then the question comes is that are we able to capture to the international market by first filling our domestic requirement? There's a possibility. I think the next 3 years, by 2027, you will find that India is not only able to meet its domestic demand, but also able to meet the some of the demands of some of the neighboring countries. For your example, even today, quite maybe more than 1 million tons of chickpea is being exported by this value addition, Haldiram, all those things. You go to USA, Canada, I go to any country, you will find a range of Haldiram products or or Bikaner bhujia. So what is that? It means still we are exporting by value addition. Yes, many times we are not able to incorporate all the traits. For example, we just ask farmers to grow a particular variety, which we are having seed. Okay, but then actually his requirements should have been different. So that is also there's a mismatch between the demand of the farmers and the variety which we are providing them. So yes, there is a need for having better a kind of policies so that we are able to fill the gap. Yes, please.
Next.
Thank you, sir. And the next question is from Mukesh. And the question is, what is the status of rice follow system in India, sir? And with respect to short duration variety?
Rice fellow, am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, actually, in the case of rice fallow, what happens that many times we have talked more than what we have done. And whenever we have done a kind of project-based intervention. The project goes, then sometimes those varieties are not made available to the farmers because the seed is gone, and that support which we provide. Recently, Odisha government has started this, rice fellow project, and we have taken our varieties. And last year we have grown almost 400,000 hectares, under our crops. So that kind of continuous, and this year again they have targeted for more areas in Odisha. So that kind of state level policy is also required. Sometimes state or central level we want to, let us say, capture 2.5 million hectare of rice fallow under pulses. Now we have the variety, as I say, that in the case of lentil, we have varieties which can be matured within 100 to 110 days and even 90 days varieties. These varieties can successfully be grown into rice fallow, and it is being grown, by the way, in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, as well as West Bengal and Assam and Tripura, and of course Odisha, as I mentioned, my project. And similarly is the case of grass pea. Grass pea is a kind of crop which is being grown in rice fallow, particularly in some of the district in Maharashtra and Chhattisgarh and West Bengal. So I think we have made good progress, but I think still there's more efforts needed to expand, because our target is 2.5 million hectare area under pulses in rice fallow. I think presently it may be less than 800,000, means less than 1 million hectare area.
Thank you, sir. Then we have next question, sir. In mung bean, there is a problem of maturity of plot, sir. Like uniform maturity is not there. So can you
Synchronous.
please suggest any variety for that?
Yes. You know that, as you know that most of the legumes are indeterminate in growth habit. It means what happens that the plant, keeps on growing even if there is a pods. It means vegetative growth and this, pod development. This keeps on going together. As a result, you will find that those varieties which are of longer duration, so there will be a kind of, some pods are maturing while other pods are still under development. So then one has to think in terms of those varieties like Virat, like IPM 2-3, like SML now this is very old variety, one should not. So there are a number of varieties which matures in 60 days. These varieties has much better synchronous podding or maturity. So one has to think in those varieties. If you go for longer varieties, I think that still you will have to go for 2 or 3 picking up of those pods. So go for short duration variety, extra short duration varieties.
Okay, thank you, sir. Then we have next question. But what is the process to get some important germplasm of a pulse crop like fava beans from Ikrada for breeding program?
You have to just send a request to us. You have my email, and then or Ricarda, you can visit our website. You can give your request there. If not, you can just send me an email, and you can get the Jump Plus. And we, as you know, that most of the C centers or all C centers, we are the custodian of Jump Plus. We are not the owner of Jump Plus. It means you have equal right to ask us to share the jump class, and we are bound to provide you the jump class. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Then next question, sir. Please tell some of biofortified variety of lentil.
Okay. See, as you know that now for the last 10 years, we have mainstreamed the biofortification in our lentil breeding programs. One of the variety which has been released in India is IPM 220, IPL 220. Yes. And this variety and this, they call it pusa early, this, lentil. This is also very, rich in iron and protein. And all the variety which we have released in Bangladesh, like, Vari Masoor 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and now 10, all are having much higher iron and zinc. If you see our normal varieties, the iron used to be around 60 or 55 to 60, and the zinc used to be around 30 to 40. But these varieties, which I have just mentioned, they have a iron around 80 ppm and zinc around 50 to 60 ppm. That means if and good part of that of these biophotic varieties that they are bioavailable, means iron is also bioavailable. Sometimes you can reach the varieties with iron and zinc, but they are not bioavailable. So that's a very, very good, part of those varieties of lentil.
Thank you, sir. Then we have next question. Sir, please provide steps to control fusarium wilt and root rot in pulse crops.
I think this is the one of the biggest challenge, and once you have resistance to one, fusion wilt is not a very serious issue because we have overcome and we have now all varieties or most of the variety having resistance to fusion wilt. But what happens that there are many other root diseases like like root rot, dry root rot, collar rot, and this pythium. All these things are there. As a result, what is happening that if you have two resistance, then the third one is still, if it is your variety is susceptible, then still you will find that the whole, plot is affected by the root. So it looks like, we have no kind of, control. So for that, first thing we have to ensure that the seed is treated. You always go for treated seed. At the same time, you also think in terms of making your field also free from pathogen, which is not very difficult task. But there are some kind of treatment which one can do. So we have to think in terms of, and then we have to think in terms of rotating the crop. So if we have grown this year lentil in this field, in one field, then at least for 3 years, we should not go again lentil in the same field. I think this is the best way to control, fusion build. And of course, there are some variety where one or two, root diseases. For that, they have tolerance. And then there are some some kind of fungicides which has to be used when you find this kind of attack, or when you see a lot of infection of these diseases. So we have to think in terms of the right varieties. We have to think in terms of ensuring diversification, means or rotating the crop. We have to ensure the seed treatment. We have to ensure that if there's a attack, we have to go for fungicide application, foliar spray, and then sometimes we go for foliar spray. But in this case, root is you have to put that into root zone, not in the sometimes on the plants. Okay. Yes, over to you, Ankur.
Okay, thank you, sir. Then we have next question. Sir,
Yeah.
can you please suggest short duration and high yielding varieties of chickpea for Haryana region, sir?
Haryana region, I may not be able to give you very specific, but I can check and then let you know, because but of course there are a number of variety, but I cannot just say based on my what I have for Madhya Pradesh and this region. For example, JG64, JG16, and they are very, very early type, Cowley, this, what ICCV2. There are many varieties which are, but I do not know whether they will fit into Haryana or not. So I would like to be, not recommend at this, but I can help you. You just send me email and I will check and I will let you know.
Thank you, sir. And I think all the queries get solved. We get lots of message like nice presentation, very informative lecture, these kind of things. So Ankur sir,
जी, एक केवी के हेड का मेरे पास मैसेज आया दीक्षित जी का, बोले मालवा रीजन में पिजन पी और चिकपी का रीजन क्यों घट रहा है सर?
वहां पर एक्चुअली दीक्षित जी को भी पता है। एक्चुअली हम लोग क्या हो रहा है, सोयाबीन के बाद ले रहे हैं लेंटिल एंड चिकपी, है ना। सो व्हाट इज हैपनिंग दैट, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट देयर आर लॉट ऑफ like root diseases, which is one of the participant has asked, So that is major reason, I think, and then,
हम्म।
so yes, this is the
जी सर,
major.
उन्होंने क्वेश्चन मुझे लिखा है व्हाट्सएप पे कि इन करेंट सिनेरियो चिकपी इज नॉट इकोलॉजिकली वायबल लाइक व्हीट, व्हाट विल बी?
I don't think so. I don't think so that, there are, see, for any crop, and crop production is dynamic things, it is not that, today, you have some problem, then you have solved the problems, isn't it? They keeps on, appearing new challenges comes out, comes, so we have to solve that. It doesn't mean that ecologically it is not, you see, Madhya Pradesh is the largest producer of chickpea, largest producer of lentil, largest producer of most of the pulses, isn't it? It means it is a, agroecology is very suitable for that. The only thing is that there are challenges and we have to solve those challenges.
जी सर, जी सर, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। एक एक क्वेरी को बड़ी ही शालीनता और तल्लीनता के साथ आपने उसको सॉल्व किया। पीपीटी अपने आप में इतनी सेल्फ एक्सप्लेनेटरी थी कि एक एक इंफॉर्मेशन मैं समझता हूँ कि यदि 4 घंटे भी यदि समय अवधि होती तो उस पर 4 घंटे भी बोला जा सकता था। मेरे अनुरोध पे, मेरे निवेदन पे सर आपने लेक्चर डिलीवर किया। इतने बिजी शेड्यूल से अपने आप की व्यस्तता को निकालते हुए आपने लेक्चर डिलीवर किया, मेरे अनुरोध को माना आपने। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर लेक्चर के लिए। और मैं अपेक्षा करूंगा, मैं आशा करूंगा कि भविष्य में भी किसी एकेडमिक एक्टिविटीज में यदि फाउंडेशन को या इसी तरीके के लेक्चर की जरूरत होगी तो आपका सहयोग और आशीर्वाद मिलेगा।
धन्यवाद अंकुर, धन्यवाद रोहित. I think, let me also express my thanks, when you make a presentation to such a large, participants, almost I could see 144 at one time. So that shows that you have given me opportunity. So I'm
लगभग
also
सर
thankful.
260 प्लस पार्टिसिपेंट्स इसमें गए थे। यूट्यूब पे भी लगभग 100 प्लस जुड़े हैं, तो कह
हाँ,
सकते हैं कि 400 प्लस पार्टिसिपेंट्स ने ज्वाइन किया है।
हाँ. So I think, I must be thankful to you and
अरे
foundation
नहीं
that.
सर, सर मैं आपके स्टूडेंट जैसा हूं, मैं आभारी हूं सर इस चीज के लिए, प्लीज।
Anyway, I'm always available for, such kind of activities because I believe that, it is our duty to, it is not only to develop the technology, it is also a part of taking technology to the audience, so they know what technologies are available. So thank you very much, Ankur. Thank you very much.
थैंक यू सो मच, थैंक यू एवरीबॉडी। गुड नाइट एवरीबॉडी। सभी पार्टिसिपेंट्स लेफ्ट कर सकते हैं। नमस्कार।
Thank you. Bye bye.